You already know. Been waiting here for 24 hours.
I know I saw you joined 20, you got the day wrong. Well, Matt's going to be doing most of the talking and I've
You already know. Been
oh,
waiting here for 24 hours.
I know I saw you joined. Okay. Oh, there's Matt.
Decided to join.
Thought it'd be a good idea.
Thought it'd be a good idea.
Great time. Yeah. So, well, I guess it's 6 p.m. Let's get started, right? I mean, great timing. So, this is a webinar on Check Cherry's new song list feature set. Matt's going to be doing most of the driving, but if you're somebody who does music at your events, uh, this is a great way to have suggested list for playlist and special moments of a wedding, for example. Um, and it's just a really cool feature and happy it's here in Check Cherry. So Matt, I guess you could kind of show us how it works. And if you have questions, feel free to chat. And then we'll also take questions over audio after. But yeah.
Thank you, Judd. So let me share my screen. Okay, cool. So yeah, so as Judd said, this is we'll be mostly focusing on kind of some of the new song suggestion list stuff we have. I'll kind of briefly review just some of the questionnaire stuff in general, just to kind of give some context to anybody that's not familiar. I guess kind of starting at the beginning though, is, on the client side, in CheckCherry, we have the concept of questionnaires. Those can also, you can think of those as like planning forms or basically information you want to collect from your customers. And so every booking in CheckCherry has, can have as many questionnaires as you have. And typically these are things that the customers are going to be filling out. So if you've got like a wedding planner, the customer can come through and fill these out. And we'll be going through kind of some of the different templates and different things you can do with them a little bit later. Typically the workflow would be though that your customer comes in, goes through it, and this, especially on the wedding side, this can be, maybe a multi-day thing or, something that people come back to. So as they go through, they can save changes as they're working. And then once they're all done, they'll typically submit that final version from you. And then on the back end, you're able to, see everything that they filled in, and on the day of, you have all that information ready to go. So, um, so that's kind of the how customers are typically going to be dealing with it. So what we're talking about today, in particular, is kind of the song list feature. So how that works is a lot of times, with say a wedding ceremony, you want to give kind of some suggestions. So for the bride entrance or whatever it is, you want to have a few suggestions there for them. And so one of the things you can do now is just make it real easy to put those into Check Cherry and give them some of those suggestions. And then they can also view previews of those songs. So, if I'm not familiar with this song, I'm able to click this as the end user and hit play and get a preview of that. Um, as they're going through, they can just click different previews, it'll switch. Uh, they can close the window and or close the preview and add different songs and things like that. So that's kind of the idea. We've also got some things like some timeline stuff that can also be useful when you're doing some of these things. So we'll take a look at that a little bit later too. So so as the admin, how does this work? Typically, what you're going to do is set up your questionnaire templates. So if we go to manage and questionnaire templates, you can see all the different templates that are in your account. Um, and we'll look at how you can create your own a little bit later. But right now I've got this wedding planner questionnaire in here. And so I'm going to go ahead and edit this. And I'm going to, any of these questions, I can basically drag and drop, change the wording, change the language, um, whatever I want to do, I can. And If you use something kind of like a Google Forms or Typeform, it's going to be sort of similar to that. Um, and so you can also have multiple tabs on these forms. So if you want to kind of break it up into smaller chunks, you can. I think some of our default templates that we'll look at later do that. You can, of course, add new fields, and there's all kinds of things you can add. So that can be just kind of static content. If you've got headers and subheaders and instructions or images, you can include those. You can also include more like text-based content. So text fields, double text fields, things like that. Um, you can also do more like drop downs, radio buttons. And then down toward the bottom, we've got these two new items, which are song and song list. So if I choose song, now when the customer goes to click that, they'll be able to provide their song name. And it's pretty simple, they can put in their name, artist name, basically as much info as they want on that. If they have any other notes, they can put those in too. Um, but I think it's a little bit more powerful if you include some suggestions for them. And so when you select that song music type or the song list music type, you can also choose a suggestion list here. And so we've got some lists already in our account. We'll take a look at how you can add those into CheckCherry, but we've got a number of different lists in the account. And so if this were going to be, say, a bride's entrance, it's just a matter of setting that suggestion list there. You can also decide whether or not you want to allow them to enter custom songs. And so maybe if you've got like, we'll look at some things you can do on the 360 side or in designs later too. But if you've got like kind of a limited selection of choices, you might not want to let them enter their own custom song. So that's kind of where that comes in. And so if I save that and then I go to preview it, now the customer is going to have some suggestions. They can choose one of those. They can add their notes. And those notes will show up right there. They can still, of course, view the preview and listen to what that song sounds like. If they want to go back later, they can see their current song details, or they can choose a new one, or they can add their custom song as well. And the song list feature is real similar to a song. It just basically allows them to enter, an arbitrary number of them. So if I'm doing something more like a, uh, favorite songs or a must playlist, you might have, something a little bit more of a generic playlist for them to choose from. And um, let's change this to, yeah, this is a song list. And so now when they go to preview it, they can add as many songs as they want to that list. And for each of those, they'll be able to see different, pick out different things. And then if they have any notes, they can do that as well. So pretty simple. If you're familiar with building questionnaires and things like that, it's going to be, an easy addition or an easy change to make to your existing forms. Another thing that can be real helpful on questionnaires is you can always limit your questionnaires to certain types of packages. So a real common thing we see in CheckCherry is that, you've got a set of wedding packages. Maybe it's one package, maybe it's a number of them. And you can, basically have different questionnaires for different types of packages. So what you show your wedding people is going to be different than what you show your corporate people, your schools. And then if you have DJ services like photo booth or things like that, you're probably not going to want to show them anything related to songs. And so let's take a look at, once you've got your questionnaire or, at any time, now once you're under this questionnaire templates, now you'll see this new song lists items here. And so if we click that, there's a number that are already in my account. I can edit one of these and obviously make changes, if something is misspelled here or, I need to correct a name or if I need to add somebody. Of course, I can do that one at a time. I can add my test link, my test album. And then here's where those previews are going to be pulled from. So if I've got a Spotify URL for that song, I can put it here. Um, and on the back end, so Check Cherry will display previews for all of these music services. So these kind of embedded music services or embedded previews. That'll work with Spotify, with an Apple Music URL, with YouTube, and with SoundCloud. And so once you know, add one of those, it'll look like this, where you can click that, see the preview. I've also got a YouTube list here, a bunch of YouTube songs. And so with the YouTube, it'll show a full video, which is nice. Can kind of get something a little bit more visual there. And then Apple Music and SoundCloud will look similar. I don't have any links for those, but and of course you can search and narrow your search results down and things like that. One of the things, as we were kind of working on this feature, it became obvious, you probably don't want to be doing all of the editing in Check Cherry though. I'm sure you've got lists of music from other sources as well. And so one of the things, it's real easy to download these to a CSV file. So if I click that, it's gonna, I guess I better share my whole screen here. I'm going to be able to edit that. And, I've got a CSV file here of song name, artist, album, all that stuff. These are YouTube links, so I've got a bunch of YouTube URLs here. So if I need to, download these lists and work on them and, make changes, I can. And then we also have an uploader as well. So if I go to new song list, I can use the bulk upload tool here. And so if I wanted to re-upload that list I just downloaded, I can go ahead and select my list. It'll take just a minute to process that. And it'll try to be somewhat smart about mapping columns, but you may have to change, the columns to match the format of your CSV file. But basically, you can map your rows before you do the import. So things like your song name, your artist name, your album name, YouTube URL. And depending on what information you have there, you might have Spotify links and YouTube links and, other stuff too. So basically, we'll pull that in automatically and perform import. And now we've got a new list with all those songs in it. And so, if you wanted to add some more, you can also bulk upload into a list as well. So I've got this 2020s hits that is in my folder already. So I'm going to add this to my existing list here. And this one, the names didn't quite map up as nicely. So I'm just going to map these. That's my song name, my artist name, my album name. Feel free to ignore any columns you don't use. And I think these are YouTube URLs.
Hey, Matt, I have a suggestion. Maybe go back to just the screen share of the Chrome browser because it's bigger. Love the bulk upload. I know people are going to appreciate that. So that's awesome.
And so, and so that should, try to dedupe based on the artist name and song name. But of course, if, worst case, you can kind of delete and re-upload from scratch as well if you need to. And so importing, exporting is pretty simple. We also have just kind of a bunch of samples for you to get started with too. So if you click new song list, you can create one from scratch, you can bulk upload, and then we've got some samples. These are nothing amazing, I'm sure they're pretty generic, but so I'd recommend kind of coming in and customizing them and
give somebody an idea of what they're looking for, what this is used for.
Exactly.
I think, yeah.
And then once you want to import it, it just takes a second to import. And so I've already got that in here. So I'm going to, I could rename it. I can, change the name, give it a description, things like that as well.
Chris says, does this integrate with Sonos?
It does not. Does Sonos have a
I didn't
streaming?
even know I didn't even know they had an API or I thought they were a music play system.
Yeah, so with Sonos you can do Spotify, whatever. and play it through the Sonos speakers. We use it because it's all Wi-Fi enabled.
So what would a Check Cherry integration like would look like, I guess? I mean, that's not clear to me in terms of would it be
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly that either because it would have to, I don't know if it'd have to be an app on Sonos. Because if you go into the Sonos app, you can click on like Spotify and have a Spotify membership and then
Mhm.
play it through that. So I'm not exactly sure how that would work, and that's where I was curious if you guys
Yeah,
were.
no, good question. I don't know. We have something we'd have to look into.
Mhm.
Justin says, can you bulk upload from a Spotify or other playlist?
So, yeah, so from Spotify or others, right now we support importing from to and from CSV. We're open to kind of expanding that in the future. From what I can tell, I don't think Spotify itself exports to CSV. That being said, there are a bunch of services that will do it. So if I do like Spotify to CSV or something like that, there's a bunch of different things you can use that basically you can put in a Spotify playlist or a list of songs or things like that, and they'll dump out a CSV file for you that you can use. I actually ended up, this isn't necessarily a specific endorsement, but I ended up using as we were kind of building this feature out, this platform Soundiiz, Sound IIZ. And the reason I went with this one was that they supported uh, all sorts of different music services, YouTube, Apple Music, things like that. And so I was able to upload some songs, just a bunch of kind of text song names, and then they went out and found links for all of the different platforms. So that was kind of nice, but yeah, so there are different services that'll do that. I know that a lot of, in the DJ world, there's a lot of services like, that people are using to do some of the management on their computers as well. We don't integrate with any of them yet, but we are, open to it. So if you use, I don't know what the popular, Tractor and, what is it, Serrano and all those, definitely let us know, if that would be useful. And, we can take a look at kind of the file formats and see what people are using and see if that's something we can expand on as well.
Justin says, makes sense. Thanks. Jimmy says, just wanted to say thank you guys so much for adding this feature. Thanks, Jimmy. Yeah, I mean, I think it's great to have our first, kind of more solid approach to managing music list and playlists and suggestions. And we totally get how it makes you guys that do music at events look better, and helps you guys bring value to the table to clients. I can tell you right now, if I was picking songs for my wedding, I would not be, suggestions would be helpful, I guess, to
Yeah.
save time. So I totally appreciate it. Um, Dave Shannon says, your continual cutting edge innovation is impressive. Thanks so much. Joe says, promo only would be a good contact. So promo only, I think they do, yeah, DJs. Create Hackers integration would also be a huge resource. That's Matt. And yeah, and Joe says, amen. Glad to see this in Vegas. Yeah. Yeah, no, we're excited to see how people use it. We know it's important to the world of DJs. And we were showing this off at the Mobile Entertainment Expo slash Photo Booth Expo. And one suggestion that we got, which we thought was pretty cool, was on the design template selections. So it's not just DJs who use music these days. The 360 photo boothers tend to want to use music as well. And so, Matt, I guess that's a good, way to
Yeah.
segue into
Yeah, so
that
you
side
can
of
use
things.
those suggestion lists, obviously in questionnaires, but yeah, we've had a few requests that, on the 360 side that people have just kind of a list of 10 songs that they have commercial rights to on or something like that. And so this will work for that too. You would still create, of course, your under the questionnaire templates, under the song list, you would still create your song list there. You can add previews or not. I mean, the previews are optional at the end of the day. I think it's helpful as a customer to click through and see it, but they are optional. And then once you have a song list, then under the design collections, typically this isn't a good example. They're gonna click, the customer's gonna pick like say their 360 overlay or something. And then you can have in the extra questions for any of your design collections, all of these questions can be customized, kind of similar to a regular questionnaire. And now one of the types is song. And so I can say, pick a song, whatever. And then now I can choose from my list of songs that I have commercial access to. In this case where you've just got certain songs you can use, you probably wouldn't want to check that option. You'd probably leave that unchecked. And, you can make it required or optional. And now when the customer goes to fill out that questionnaire, they'll be able to do the same thing, pick that song, and that'll be submitted to you along with the other information. So, and they can see previews and everything there as well. So, just kind of a nice little tie-in for people doing 360 or really anywhere that you have kind of a limited selection that you want to offer people. And
So Justin says probably for a future update, it would be helpful to download 3MU files of the songs list. That would be a game changer for DJs. So my understanding is that 3MU file is a playlist, kind of like think of it like JSON, but of a playlist. So it's not actually an audio file, but it works with other software. So good suggestion. And then Jimmy says, I would look at Vibo and take ideas from them because I would pay extra to have some of their features here on Check Cherry. But you guys are amazing either way. It's M3U, one for the books corrected me, so thank you. Yeah, great feedback, great suggestions. Totally get it.
yeah. And yeah, so let's see. And so we mentioned kind of some built-in suggestion lists. Oh, and then so one other thing I wanted to go on the questionnaire side. So we've got a bunch of new questionnaire templates as well. So under manage questionnaire templates, feel free to browse those. We kind of went through and tried to update them based on, just different examples. If you're just need a very, very basic event planner sample, we've got that. But more useful are things like a model release, if you need to collect that from people, are a very simple music planner, things like just preferences, do not playlist, etc. We've got more of a detailed photo booth detailed event planner with things like colors and schedules and setup times and all that. And of course, with all of these questions, you can bring these into your account and then customize from there. On the music side, we've got a wedding planner with suggestions. So that's the one we were looking at earlier. We've got more of just a timeline only that's got just some simple timelines, things like that. They can drag and drop. And then we've got a timeline with suggestions. So different things to check out there. And then we've got a new one that's called Survey. So I thought we may as well look at that while we're here too.
Mhm.
So a new feature, kind of a tweak to questionnaires that we made the other day is that we can now have, you've always kind of been able to have surveys on your account, or just follow things after the event. But a new setting that we added is this new setting here that basically says hide this questionnaire until the booking has been completed. And the idea is that, a lot of times you have things that you don't want the customer to fill out until after the event is done. And so maybe, if you've got like feedback from even, you could even direct it at your staff. If you have follow-up questions for your staff, maybe you hide that from your clients. Or if you've got kind of a, how did my staff do? Maybe you want to hide that from your staff and only allow the clients to see it. And this will show up in the client's account after the event's been completed. So let's go ahead and turn that on. We'll add it to our bookings here. And so now if I go to this wedding here, so because I'm an admin, I can still see it. But if on the client side, this is going to be hidden because this event date is in the future. And then you might have an email go out, say a day after the event or something, just kind of saying, hey, thanks, we hope you had a great time. Click here to leave a review. And then you can use your same questionnaires link in your automated message, and that'll take them right to this questionnaire where they'll be able to fill out that survey. So just kind of a little tweak that we think will be helpful for collecting information after events are over. What else? And then one other feature I thought would be helpful to look at real quick. We rolled this one out a little while ago, but I think it's still helpful on the song music planning side is on any of these questions now, we've got this timeline feature. And so what you can do with that is set like a start time or start and end time or just a length. And that can be useful for, kind of planning things out a little bit more. So you can do things like, allow the user to reorder, and, you can do things like allow them to set a time. And so how that's going to look on the customer side, now I can kind of move things around. I can set start times, I can set end times, things like that. So, not song list specifically, but it definitely kind of ties into some of those features. So.
Love it. Yeah, and I think it's, like I say, it's great to see some of these music features get into Check Cherry. We appreciate all the feedback from everybody. If you got questions, feel free to ask. And as usual, we can see a lot more opportunity to improve the feature. I learned something new with the M3U files. I didn't know that was a file. So that's good to know.
Yeah, I think the one thing I'm not sure on the M3U is if we can include URLs to outside, if those need to be on your local computer versus
interesting. Right.
Yeah, versus something that the customer can preview. That would be the only thing that we need to look into on that. So
love it. So I don't see any questions. If you want to unmute yourself or raise your hand, you can feel free to ask. We appreciate everybody for showing up and all the support, suggestions on how to make Check Cherry better. We, of course, always appreciate that. And we're happy to announce this next iteration of kind of questionnaires slash, tools really more aimed at, I guess, DJs slash MCs. But of course, if you're a photo boother, you can also use it. Does somebody unmute themselves? You got a question?
Yeah, hey, Judd. Can y'all walk back over the how to set it up to a pre-existing questionnaire?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So first you want to have your song list, right? So like that's you want to go to manage questionnaire templates and build a song list.
All right.
Right. That's kind of step one. And I would even just pull in maybe a sample or whatever. Just to make
That's
it
what I'm
quick.
doing now.
Yeah. Then I'll let Matt show you.
Yeah, so once you have some song lists, and then just one thing I'll mention too, if you're bringing in one of our sample questionnaires, like this wedding planner with suggestion, we'll automatically pull in any song lists that go along with it. So you don't necessarily need to pull them in one at a time if you don't want, but you certainly can. And so typically what you're going to do, if you're creating a new questionnaire, you'd create that new questionnaire either from scratch or from one of our templates, and, kind of make changes, set up whatever questions you want. And once you edit one of those fields, that's where you're going to set that suggestion list. And so you can say, top hits across the decades, things like that. You probably also want to take a look at your packages and see if there's, certain packages you want to limit it to. And then once all looks good, I think the easiest way to add it to all of your upcoming bookings is probably under the settings um, sub item there. There's an option to add it to all of your existing bookings. You can also review the permissions before you do that if you want. And so once you add it, now all of your bookings that match that wedding questionnaire or that wedding package are going to show it. And then similarly, if you decide, you know what, that didn't work out, let me delete it. It'll by default, it'll remove it from all of your existing bookings as well. So you can kind of play around with it, add it, remove it, and things like that if you need to.
So like the bride entrance,
Mhm.
I just go to the pencil.
Mhm.
I go to type, and then I just go to song list.
Yeah, song probably for a bride entrance, unless they're gonna choose multiple. You could either do song or song list if they might choose multiple. And then once you choose either of those items, then you'll have all your suggestion lists under that. So then
Gotcha. All right. So
yeah.
I'm setting one up now just to see how it works.
Cool. Love it. If anybody else has questions, feel free to raise hand, unmute yourself. Um, and of course, if you're watching the recording and you have questions, feel free to chat with us from within your account. We can help you out. Um, I see Andre's here. He had some good feedback on the first iteration, so we always appreciate that.
Thanks, Justin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you,
So,
Justin.
well, thanks everybody for coming out, and yeah, let us know. Like I say, or like Judd says, I'm sure this is going to be kind of the first of many, but we wanted to get the ball rolling on it, and kind of see as you play around with it.
We got it. Curious as to why Chick Cherry was chosen. The long and short of it is we had when we first started Chick Cherry, we had several meetings. What were they? Maybe 3, 4 hours each, going through
Best
names.
we could come up with. No, just kidding.
And of course, we wanted the .com, and I think we liked Check Cherry because it was like check availability, and that type of stuff. And
Check
then
out. Yeah.
yeah, checkout. It's kind of online booking. That's
Yeah.
really what we had at the beginning was primarily just online booking. And there's some alliteration with the CHE, in both words. And we thought, good images and cherries is fun and, all that stuff. And it didn't necessarily specifically state which markets we would serve because we didn't know how it was going to go. So, yeah, so we landed there. And I think all these years later, I'm happy with it still. And I think that's a good test of, did you get it right when you name your company? Because I've been on the other side where you name something and you're like, I kind of regret it. But we're happy with Check Cherry. But it's a good question. Comes up. Yep.
Yeah,
All right.
we need a more interesting origin story though that we
Well, it's,
yeah.
gotta have that .com. I don't know. I don't know if that's still the case, but I mean, I guess maybe I'm old. I still feel
Now,
that way.
now you need .ai.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Well, but who controls that? Like Antigua or something like that. So I'm not, yeah. No, thank you. Anyway, okay, guys, thanks for
Awesome.
coming. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to see you guys on chat. Give us feedback. And yep. Yep, Matt, thank you so much. We'll see you guys later. Have a good night. Bye.